Okay, this has been quite a month. I find myself looking forward to this each week more and more. So let's see what we have in front of us today. I give you our guest host for the month, Leslie S.
Thank you so much, Howard. And thank you, Kathy, for hosting this. And hey, I'm here early, so that's a good thing. Thank you guys for last week's debacle, but I appreciate each and every one of you on here. I need to ask, sorry, I don't have my book. I'm in LA. I've been traveling. What page am I starting on? I'm so sorry.
We're on 66, paragraph 3 begins with return back to the list.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I got it from here. So what we've been talking about, I got to give you guys, some of you guys, we like to binge watch, and in binge watching, we like to see a recap sometimes, especially if we've stayed away from the program for a while, and sometimes we can skip the recap. But basically, what we've been talking about in the perfect named chapter is how it works. What's it? How does this program work? I mean, when I came in, and I'm gonna give you an example, when I came in, I had no clue that there was going to be writing and confessing. I mean, I'm recovering Catholic schoolgirl, so I was familiar with the word confession. You know what I'm saying? Going to the priest, telling him all the stuff I did wrong from a little girl all the way up until I stopped going to Catholic church. When I became a young adult. And so I knew what that was. But when you guys started talking about these are the things that you have to do besides abstinence, besides admitting you're an alcoholic and besides abstinence, this is what you're going to have to do. So this is the to-do list or the honey-do list. I think I'd like to call it. God gave me a honey-do list. Baby, I know you're trying, but you've got some garbage blocking you. You've got some things from the past that you brought over into this trying to live this new life. We call it luggage. Remember those little radio flyer, the little, yeah, the little red, yeah, wheels, yeah. And you were a kid, and you always had a friend that would ride it, pull it for you, or you'd go down a hill. Well, mine had wheels missing. When I came in here, you couldn't pull a cracker in that thing. That's how spiritually sick I was. I call that the wheels missing radio flyer wagon. My wagon was full of nothingness, and the wheels were missing. So God said, hey, we got to get you back in tune so you can carry what? Carry the message of recovery and the spiritual discovery. What did you do? How did you? Oh my God. So I had no clue. If you knew, you have no clue what's getting ready to come. You have no clue what this adventure is going to be like. Now you try and imagine, because all of us have been talking about it, and you hear from Howard, and they look so cool, and Tina, she looks so put together, and you hear about it, but your own personal experience is nothing like you think it's going to be. Nothing. Everything, all the things you think it's going to look like, it's none of that. And that's the amazing. It's like Christmas. It's like when you go to your mom and dad and you tell them what you want for Christmas, and you get up and you got way more than what you asked for. Some of what you wanted, some of what you didn't want, but what you wanted doesn't matter because the stuff you did get was so much better. You forgot what was on your wish list. Well, that's how this program, that's how my higher power works. It gives me way beyond. So we talked about how to do these, how it works things. I have to clear up the past. I have to look at my fears. I have to look at my resentment. I have to look at my sex immoral or my immoral sex conduct. And how do I create intimate relationships? And then we talked about the need for it and why we need it. Then last week, I had a conversation about the one word in the previous paragraph that talked about if we were to live, we had to be free of anger. Ooh, I have been discovering some things about anger, not just through my own personal life, but when you're sponsoring and you've got some sponsees who are broken, hurt, mad, want to fight the world, angry. Ralph and I went to Alaska this weekend. We heard our friend Don L talk about it. When you take the bottle out of a baby's mouth, I'll say it in my own words, what will the baby do? The baby will holler, rage, scream. We were getting off the plane yesterday. There was this one little kid, and it started going, getting higher and higher as we were getting off the plane, and louder and louder. But when you take the bottle King alcohol out of the mouth of an alcoholic, a real alcoholic, baby. It's World War IV. They want to scream and kick and fight and bite back and tell you. I mean, they desperate when they get here, but all of a sudden you give them a few things to do, then they want to fight back and they want to question everything. Yes, they should, but that anger, they're scared. And we had a really, 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 and I hope somebody got something out of that. When you're angry, recognize it as being fear. Ask oneself, just for your consideration, what am I really afraid of? All you macho, testosterone laden men, when you're mad, when you're really, really mad, ask yourself that. Sometimes that quells, it calms the anger down. So I just wanted to do a quick recap on what we talked about. But watch that thing, anger. That anger is a beast because anger is fear, and fear is the corroding thread. Okay, bottom of 66. We turned back to the list, for it held the key to the future. We were prepared to look at it from an entirely different angle. We began to see that the world and its people really dominated us. In that state, the wrongdoing of others, fancied or real, had power to actually kill. How could we escape? We saw that these resentments must be mastered, but how? We could not wish them away any more than alcohol. I'm going to stop right there real quick and I'm going to talk about that quick paragraph. There's a lot of information in that. So first of all, Bill said, okay, now we got to go back to that list. And I'll say this from my perspective. This is my opinion. I'm not a big book guru. I'm a big book thumper because I love looking at it. I love learning new information. And every time I read it, it looks different. This is just suggestions. This is my life, how I see it. So we turn back to the list. Now, if you look back, and it's if you look back at Bill's list, he's only got technically 3 columns. And so when I talk to my sponsees, or it's it's one thing when you're talking to somebody and you're building a foundation from ground up. But when you get a sponsee that's been around for a while, has had a sponsor or two maybe pass away or move, and you look at it, there's differences in the approach of how to get rid of those things that are blocking them. They have different formulas. You've got the Dr. Bob formula. You got all these different formulas. The thing is this, friends, I had to learn not to be so prejudging, prejudiced. This is the way and this is it. For me, when I relax and take it easy, as long as the person's trying and they're willing, if they come to me with something written and it's not what I'm familiar with or it's not what I believe, I let them read it anyway. Why? Because I'm not God. This book is for interpretation. And I pray that each person on here within the sound of my voice uses the same compassion and kindness. Because I've heard people get beat up because they missed this column and no, this column is, they get into the technicalities. All we want to do is look at this. The first 3 columns, I've been living the first 3 columns all my life. Let me give you an example. I resented my mom. Why? Because she didn't hug on me and love me enough and tell me I was beautiful. What did that affect? That's easy. I'm going to go through all that. And then that's easy to write, kinda. Okay, I can get that down. It gives me instructions. But the most jarring part is when they say, okay, now that's nice. You put all that down. Now, what about you? Not once in my disease. See, I came in here November 2nd, 1988, with my first time, first program, first try at Alcoholics Anonymous, and I stayed one time. At 36 years, I stayed one time. God's grace. But I have come to learn a lesson in life and living and people and higher power and energy and source. And more importantly, I've learned to be able to turn this thing and look at me. I have a mirror. Let me give you an analogy. I have a mirror in my bathroom. And ladies, you know that mirror that, one side is normal and the other side is like a magnifying glass and you can see every pimple and I hate that side, by the way. It's good for plucking eyebrows, plucking your chin hairs, ladies. I don't have chin hairs, but I hate that. But that's what this is. It's flipping the mirror and now looking at you because I need to be accountable. And the thing that scares me in this paragraph, he says, we see that the world and its people dominated us. I didn't understand that. This book is like this. those words don't ring true until you're in a situation where it's causing you so much pain, where your sponsor or someone says, these people are renting room in your head. Remember that? I remember that. Don't let those people rent. I had a whole condo full of people in my head. And these things only apply when I'm in a situation. And I can't always recognize when people are dominating me until somebody points it out to me or until I hit a bottom in that. What's that mean? Okay, Maureen didn't speak to me when I walked into our home group last week. So now for the next 7 days till the next week, I'm obsessed with Maureen. I'm calling on my people. I'm trying to get people to help me talk about that. Maureen thinks she's all that. I'm trying to gather. I'm trying to take votes. And when I am occupied in my mind, where my disease center on Maureen, then I can't be of service to anybody else. Also, I'm angry and there's some insecurities, there's some low self-esteem, and there's also fear that Maureen doesn't like me because I need to be liked. See, that often happens with me, but the difference between when I came in and who I am today is it don't stay that long. That's the progress. I don't live in the mud as long. Because see what happens after a certain time, the numbers will fall off. I promise you, stay around, the numbers fall off, and you can do an inventory on yourself that quick, and you can do it. A life without self-examination is a destroyed life. I'm going to always be looking at myself to see what I can do to improve or add to the world or fix what I've broken. I just had to make amends recently, and this is some real life stuff to someone because they felt column 1, 2, and 3, and this is the deepest thing. They never told me that they were mad at me. I felt something. Listen to me carefully. I felt something was off. And I called this person a couple times, and I'm doing this self-check because I'm not comfortable now. See, I have that God consciousness now that wakes me up. You can call it what you want to, but I call it the God consciousness, the voice, the spirit of the universe. You need to check on your girl. Something ain't right. She ain't calling like she used to. She ain't moving like she used to, Val. I called her twice. She said, oh, nothing's wrong. And then I get an email a couple days later, and everything that I did, I knew it. And I had to make amends. So we're not there yet. But I'm giving you an example of how you live the first 3 columns, but after a certain time, the 4th column or whatever you want to call it comes up, and then all of a sudden, wait a minute. This is my part. I lied to myself. I lied to you. How many of you ladies have ever dated a guy and he had some serious defects and you said, well, I'll just stay with him. He'll grow out of it. I know Kathy's still waiting for Howard to grow out of some of his. Anybody else other than Kathy? I'm on the girl side. I'm team girl all the time. So when I'm dishonest with myself, I place myself in a position to be hurt. And I'm putting expectation on that person to be who I think they should be. So not only am I being dishonest telling myself that lie, I'm also selfish because I'm not allowing them to be who they are. And we'll get to that a little later. And last thing I want to point out in this paragraph, he said something that scared me. He said, fancied or real, the wrongdoings of others, fancied or real. I never used the word fancied before, but now I use it a lot. Is that the delusion in your head, Leslie, that Maureen didn't speak to you? Is it maybe that Maureen didn't see you? Is it maybe that she was preoccupied because she just got some bad news? My magic magnifying mind likes to make up stories so I can have an excuse not to like you. Is that insane? My magic magnifying mind, my sponsors used to say, why create a problem when there is no problem? Because what scares me is my diseased mind or my God mind. They don't work at the same time either. Either I'm just diseased all the way to the left, or I'm trying to get into the God mind. This is me. You ain't there yet. We're only in the 4th step, so don't expect it. But this is coming previews to coming attractions. So fancy to real. That is why I express this part of This how it works. You got to take somebody that's been through it before and work through it with a sponsor, because you're going to miss a whole lot trying to judge yourself. It's like trying to sit in a movie show or a play. You're on the stage, but you're an audience. You can't be in both places. You need somebody. We need a critic. We need somebody who loves us, who's telling us the truth. My sponsor gives me the truth and gets me out of the fancy part and gets me into the reality part. Our speaker was talking about the fancy part of, I want you guys to feel sorry for me. I want Ralph to be the bad guy. That poor Leslie, she's stuck with that Ralph White, but he's got such a reputation of being a sweet guy. It'll probably be the other way around. He's such a sweet guy. What is he doing with that broad? But that poor Ralph. Why is he with that girl? And my head will be like, yeah, I'm not that bad. He's really, let me tell you what he does to me, because I want you to feel sorry. We all come in here victims. How's that victimizing working for you? I drank because I was a victim of circumstances. I drank because I was a young black girl and I didn't have the cute flowing Farrah Fawcett flip back from the 80s. Shut up, don't judge me. I drank because these friends, I couldn't hang out with them unless I did like them, and I was able to supply the best alcohol, the best. I could bring the big bottle of Boone's Farm. I could bring the big bottle of Annie Green Springs to the party and let them spike the punch. See, so I had to do that. Everything was based in what my head told me it is. But I'm going to tell you, newcomer, just because your head says it doesn't mean it's true. And if you're not sure, for your consideration, run it past your sponsor. Run it past somebody. I only got a few. Okay, I got a few more minutes. Awesome. So that fancy to real. And then he says, how are we to master? That's scary. How can I master a resentment? Think about that. He wants me to master one of my biggest defects of character. Listen to this, Ralph. How do I master a defect? Anybody working on their defects and shortcomings? Anybody? Anybody working on them? All right, all right. Yeah, I see you. I ain't gonna call you out because I'm getting ready to tear that ass up. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Listen, let me tell you what. We don't work on them. In fact, a defect is a resentment. There's the 7 deadlies. We know that. Then there's 1,000 forms of fear. That's a defect. Then there's the agnostic behavior, Gnostic temperament. Sometimes God is good when everything's going my way, but when it's not, it's raggedy. I don't like God. Ew, God, don't even mention the G word to me. But a resentment is nothing more than a defect. Fear. And if it's a defect, what do we do with a defect? I'm going forward. I have to. I'm sorry. This is all connected. This is a Lincoln lock and Lincoln cabin. It's lock puzzles. I can't master a resentment. Can't master it. In fact, I definitely can't master it on my own. Because if I could master it, I could have managed and controlled my drinking as I pick up my coffee cup to drink coffee. I said it. How do we don't master it. For me, I never can master resentment. A resentment will come without my permission sometimes. Sometimes, have you ever been sitting in the most holy place on the earth, the calmest place, a Zen garden, flower garden, and all of a sudden something will shoot through your head that happened last week, or you fast forwarding and you're practicing, rehearsing. Yeah, when I see that Maureen, I'm picking on you today. When I see that Maureen, this is what I'm gonna say to her. Yeah, you didn't speak to me last week. And she's gonna say, I don't care. I don't like you anyway. So do you ever, anybody have playwriters? Anybody write plays? You just write an entire script of how it's gonna go. If I cannot control my drinking and I cannot control my thinking at this stage, we're on the 4th, at this stage, how am I going to get to the point where I'm not going to let things bother me? How am I going to get to that point? Stay tuned, because Howard and them got some lineups coming for you that'll tell you that. There's something in the hope of the future. I don't master it. When I lose control and I seek help from someone or something higher than me or wiser than me, that is the beginning of overcoming. For me, I never master my defects. they shift. Sometimes they're, oh, I'm jealous, I'm jealous. And sometimes they ebb. And then jealousy kind of recedes. And then something else pops up. So I'm always, it's like, the effects are just like that donkey, just hitting them over the head, hammer over the head. So that's the scary part for me. But it dawned on me, I can't master a resentment without a power. What are we doing right now? We're trying to access that power. That's what we're trying to do. Because there's a spiritual solution to everything, whether you can see it or not. Let's go to this this is the best prayer in the universe besides the other prayers. This was our course. This is going to answer the questions too. This was our course. We realized that the people who wronged us were perhaps spiritually sick. Though we did not like their symptoms and the way these disturbed us, they, like ourselves, were sick too. We asked God to help us show them the same tolerance, pity, and patience that we would cheerfully grant a sick friend. When a person offended, we said to ourselves, this is a sick man. How can I be helpful to him? God save me from being angry. Thy will be done. Last paragraph. We avoid retaliation or argument. We wouldn't treat sick people that way. If we do, we destroy our chance of being helpful. We cannot be helpful to all people, but at least God will show us how to take a kindly and tolerant view of each and every one. And I'm going to stop with the reading right there, and I'm just going to share my experience on that. When I first started doing this inventory, I didn't really notice that. I know they told me early on that every time you say we ask or we said to God, we said to our maker, it's a prayer. It's a form of a prayer. And I used to be one to try to memorize exactly what they're saying. And I'm thinking to myself, why would Bill put this? We call that the sick man's prayer, sick woman, sick person's prayer. Somebody cleverly named it, and we all call it that. But I think of this more of a prayer for compassion. Prayer to learn how to love the unlovable, forgive the unforgivable. A prayer to give grace to someone like grace was given to you. To soften my heart, because I'm going through the hardest time in my life by writing all these resentments down, Andy. This stuff hurts. It don't feel good. I have one sponsee, and it's going to take us a minute, and I don't push her. But every time she picks up the pen, she breaks down. She picks up the pen, she breaks down. She picks up the pen, she can't write. She picks up the pen, the trauma, whatever, I haven't even gotten to it yet, and I've been with her for about 2 years. The trauma for her is so intense and so deep, she can't even hold a couple ounce pen to write. Because those people, what they did to her. I have some girls who've gone through some foster care and aunts and uncles, and really, the pen is a ton. And then you want me to write about somebody I didn't even do nothing to, and they did it to me? I was a kid. You don't treat kids that way. Or I was a girl. You don't treat girls that way. Or I was a little black girl. You don't treat little black girls that way. They grow up to be crazy. Well, you don't treat girls that way. Because we grow up to pick our abusers. And in the middle of me writing all this painful crap, Bill so sweetly inserts this prayer. It's a prayer. Because he knew that while I was writing, I was feeling everything I'd gone through, Dina. Everything I'm feeling it. But now check this out, though. The thing about the mind, it feels so real when I'm reliving it on paper. Stay with me. Put this book down. Let's talk. I feel and I see in the theater of my mind, on the screen of my mind, in the movie of my mind, I see every room, every bed, every swing, every punch, every kick, how the house was set. I see it all in my mind's eye. I feel like I'm reliving it. But here is the hope, my friends. It's just for a moment. And guess what? You're not in it right now. I'm going to say it again. You may be feeling it and seeing it, and it seems so real. You ever wake up from a dream and it's like, I swear I just relapsed. I've had a relapse dream that made me think I need to get up and tell somebody I relapsed. That's how vivid the dream was. The point of it was not real. But sometimes I understand the difficulty of putting down, but this is the path to freedom. But freedom ain't always free. Sometimes you got to put it down and relive it just for a minute because it's not happening to you right now. We have to look at our past and examine it because what is it? Those things in our past have blocked us. What's the purpose? We're trying to get free from the bondage of what? Self and what was done to me, who said it, why they did it, not about who's right or wrong, but what was done to me that affected me, that made me go put that pacifier, aka alcohol, aka liquor bottle, in my mouth. And I'm trying to live without the bottle. God is trying to do a spiritual weaning away from always trying to put because the bottle worked at first. Now you take my toys, you take my pacifier, you take my bottle, what's left? I gotta get this stuff up off of me because if I don't get this stuff up off of me, I'm gonna go back to what calmed my nerves. It takes a lot of courage to look back. And then you want me to pray? And it's so funny how Bill placed it so beautifully. He put it right in the midst of you doing your inventory. He put it right after the third column, right before we turn back to our list, and whoever's going to take it, the fourth column. And he said, right here, I know you hurt. I know this don't feel good. This crap ain't fair. It ain't nothing cute. And then not only that, in the middle of me writing this stuff, you still want me to live life on life's terms. You still want me to go to these stupid meetings. You still want me to call my sponsor. You still want me to share. You still want me to be of service. But I'm hurting with every letter I place on this paper. This is some BS. But baby, hold on. Wait a minute. Don't leave. Because just because you're writing it and feeling it doesn't mean it's actually happening right now. It's not actually happening. It's over. You're just trying to clear a space for what? For people to help you and for God to give you freedom. Let me tell you something about freedom fighters. We're freedom fighters. Freedom's not free. Ain't nobody got I wish I could have skipped all of this and just got to the end. You ever try to watch something and you skip the episode of House of Cards and you went, wait a minute, this ain't making no sense. And you had to back up to review the previous one and then go to the episode you're supposed to be on. Well, then you can't skip this episode, baby, because if you skip this episode, guess what's going to happen? Some of y'all already know it's happening to you now. I'm still pissed off. I'm still angry. It feels like this program's not working. This is a lie. My sponsor's a mess. I hate everybody and I want a bottle. You know, that subconscious is scary to me. That underlying diseased mind that's working when I don't want it to work, it's scary to me. And then you want me to pray for him, her, or it, the thing or the person who caused the pain in the first place. I had to pray for my mother. I had to pray for the guy who did some egregious stuff to me. I had to pray for him as I was writing it down. Sometimes, I'm going to tell you, sometimes it got so heavy for me, I had to put the pen down for a couple of weeks. I'm going to tell you the truth. Those of you can get in here and one and done, cool. But I don't know why you racing because my sponsor, Betty T, told me, baby, you're going to be writing the rest of your life. So what's the rush? I mean, don't hurry up, but don't hurry up. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're going to do another one and another one and another one. And what this whole thing is getting me to do, basically, what that sick man's prayer is getting me to do is basically do an 11th step on the person I'm writing about. What's that 11th step prayer? Make me a channel, God. See, it's all kind of ping ponging, but that's kind of how it does. God, help me to love the unlovable, give hope to the hopeless. Tell somebody what happens when you be a big girl and you put on your big boy boxers and you go in deep. Thank you. You go in deep and you ask God to help me while I'm writing this about this sick person that's doing. God, help me while I go back through these memory, back through these caves and these deep dark spots. God, help me so that I can see what I couldn't see before, so I can be free from what you are showing me, and I can love them and know that they're human and they make mistakes too. Then we'll get into 8 and 9 when you accept that part. My name is Leslie Strange. I'm a recovering alcoholic. And thank you.